There's a moment most people never talk about. It usually comes at night. The house is quiet, everyone else is asleep, and you're lying there staring at nothing. And a memory surfaces. Not always a dramatic one. Sometimes it's something small. A conversation you walked away from too quickly. A hand you didn't hold long enough. A door you let close when maybe you should have pushed it open. And something tightens in your chest. Not grief, exactly. Not sadness, exactly. Something quieter than both. If you know that feeling, stay with me. Because I want to say something to you tonight that I don't think anyone has ever said to you quite this way. We treat regret like a verdict. Like it's the final ruling on who we are. I should have known better. I wasted so many years. I let the best thing in my life walk out the door. And we repeat those sentences like a sentence, the kind a judge hands down. But here's what I want you to consider. A verdict is final. A chapter is not. Regret isn't a gavel coming down. It's a pen, and you're still holding it. I want you to think about the version of you who made the decision you most regret. How old were they? What were they carrying? What did they know? What were they afraid of? Because that person was doing something incredibly hard. They were navigating life without the map you have now. They didn't have the wisdom that came from the pain, that came from the mistake. They were upstream from all of it. And in that exact moment you keep replaying, they were probably just trying to survive, or trying to be loved, or trying to avoid more loss, or simply trying to get through the day. Holding that person in contempt is like blaming someone for not catching a ball they never saw coming. I want to tell you about a woman. I'll call her Margaret. She's 68, retired school teacher from Ohio. For 40 years, she carried one regret above all others. When she was 29, her mother called one afternoon, said she wasn't feeling well, asked if Margaret could come by. Margaret was busy. Lesson plan to finish, dinner to make, 2 kids running around her ankles. She said, "I'll come this weekend, Mom." Her mother died 3 days later, peacefully in her sleep, just gone. And for 4 decades, Margaret replayed that phone call. I should have gone that night. I should have gone. Then one evening, her granddaughter, 6 years old, was drawing at the kitchen table. She held up the picture and said, "Grandma, this is you. I drew you because I love you and I want you to always be happy." And something cracked open in Margaret because she realized her mother had called that day not because she was dying. Her mother had called because she wanted to hear her daughter's voice, and she had heard it. They had talked for 20 minutes. Margaret had said, "I love you, Mom." Her mother had laughed at something the kids had done. Margaret had given her mother that she just hadn't let herself counted for 40 years. She had been so focused on what she didn't do that she forgot to credit herself for what she did. What regret does? It has a spotlight, and that spotlight is fixed. It only illuminates the gap between what happened and what you wish had happened. It does not illuminate the sacrifices you made that no one saw. The love you gave imperfectly, but genuinely. The times you showed up when you were exhausted. The things you didn't do that would have caused far worse harm. The people whose lives are quietly better because you existed in them. Regret is not an objective, historian. It's a prosecutor, and you've been letting it run the courtroom without ever calling a witness for the defense. There is a kind of forgiveness. Most people never talk about not forgiving someone who wronged you. That's hard enough. But forgiving yourself for being human, for being limited, for making the only decision you could make with what you had in the moment you had to make it. That forgiveness doesn't mean pretending it didn't matter. It mattered. It still matters. But mattering and haunting are two different things. You are allowed to carry the memory with tenderness instead of with punishment. You are allowed to say, I wish that had gone differently, and I forgive myself for being a person who didn't yet know how to make it go differently. The moments we regret most are often the moments that made us most human. The fact that you still feel this, the fact that you still care, means your heart has not hardened. So many people, after enough pain, just shut down. They stop caring, stop feeling, stop hoping. Don't you haven't done that? You're here, listening, reflecting, carrying the weight of a life you lived fully enough to have real regrets. That is not weakness. That is depth. I want to say something directly. Nah. You still have time. Not infinite time. None of us do. But time. Real, usable, meaningful time. A conversation you haven't had yet. An apology you haven't given. A version of yourself you haven't yet become. The past cannot be rewritten, but the meaning of the past is still being written. 10 years from now, the story of your life will include what you did after you felt this. What you chose, how you treated people, whether you let this weight make you bitter, or whether it made you softer, more present, more patient, more awake. That chapter is still blank, and you are still holding the pen if you are carrying something heavy tonight. Want to leave you with just this. You are not the worst thing you ever did. You are not the chance you didn't take. You are not the words you didn't say in time. You are the whole of it, the mistakes and the kindnesses, the failures and the quiet heroism that nobody ever named as heroism, because it looked too ordinary from the outside. You are someone who loved imperfectly in an imperfect world, and if that younger version of you could see you now still here, still feeling, still trying, I think they'd be proud. Not of everything, but of the fact that you didn't stop caring, that you're still here. Take a slow breath, let your shoulders drop, and tonight, let yourself rest. If this reached something in you, you're exactly who this channel is for. The Thinking Hour is a place for people who still ask hard questions, who still feel deeply, and who aren't done yet. We'll be here. Take care of yourself. Until next time.